to Fire Takes, where we give our takes on the internet's most interesting story from our financial independence point of view. I am here with Gwen. How are you today, Gwen?
Oh, I'm doing just wonderful. How are you?
I'm doing great. It feels really good to be back on the mic. It feels like it's been a long time with Christmas vacation and all that. We did kind of a short episode and added it to our Chuck Jaffe interview and then did a replay. So yeah, it's been a minute since we've recorded a full episode.
Hot new content.
Right. Yeah. Give the people what they want. And I'm actually super excited about this one. I was talking with people at the local Choose-Fi Christmas party about this, and now here we are in mid-January, and I haven't recorded it, so it has been, rattling around in my brain for a minute. So I'm super excited about it.
I, like you, am also super excited. Shall we get into the first story?
All right. Okay. So the theme of this week's episode is the Lion, the Witch, and the Audacity, because we have found some people who have really just kind of come out and said the quiet part out loud and demanded things of people that I don't know.
They have no right
right to demand. All right. So here we go. This one comes from our AITAH. It's, am I the asshole for not paying for my sister's college when I'm paying for my fiance's? So I, 29 male, grew up dirt poor, like sharing meals, lights off, half the month poor. My parents did their best, but there were 5 of us and money was always tight. I hustled like crazy after high school, community college, then transferred to a good university while working full-time. I graduated with loans, but a solid job in tech. Fast forward a decade, and I've got a good income, no debt, and to top it off, I just a cool $20,000 on stake this week. I don't know, I guess maybe a gambling website. My fiance, 26 female, is finishing her degree. She's been working too, but with her schedule and the costs of school, I offered to pay her last 2 semesters so she could focus and graduate without loans. I want us to start our marriage on solid ground, so I don't mind helping her out. Enter my younger sister, 21 female. She's still in college and recently found out I'm paying for my fiance's tuition. She flipped, saying if I can afford that, I should help her too. She's always been bitter about me getting out, quote unquote, and doing well while she and the rest of my family are still struggling. I get it, but here's the thing. I've worked hard to be where I am, and I feel like my fiance and I are building a future together. My sister and I aren't close, and I feel like she's asking out of entitlement, not need. My parents have now chimed in saying it's family first, and I'm abandoning them. I don't think I owe anyone anything, especially since I've already helped out when I could, paid off their electric bills last winter, etc. I'm torn. I don't want to be a selfish jerk, but I also don't want to set a precedent of being the family ATM. Am I the asshole?
Oof, that's rough.
Yeah, I mean,
I say not the asshole.
Yeah, I agree. It is, like they say, family first, but your fiance is your family, and they're going to be your family, right? Building that foundation that OP talks about with your partner is, super important.
Huge.
And
critical.
He's not in a, he's doing okay, right? He's doing well. He can help out with tuition, but this is going to be his responsibility, right? His fiance is going to become his wife, and all of her student loan bills or theoretical student loan bills will become his liability once they get married. So I think he's making really good choices in saying, hey, let's enter marriage debt-free and then build our financial future from there.
Your family of origin is important, right? Mm-hmm. But they are not your responsibility. I mean, these parents had 5 kids.
Right.
And it doesn't seem like they were great at either making money or managing their money.
Correct.
They sharing meals, lights off, half the month poor. My family of origin story is very similar at the beginning, where my older sisters, I have 2 sisters, one of them's 5 years older than me, one of them is 10 years older than me. And we all had very different experiences growing up where my dad was your stereotypical creative, right? He was very artsy, very creative. I get a lot of my creativity from him. But I mean, he probably had ADHD and he wasn't great at the business side of things. He could do the art, but wasn't getting paid a whole lot for it.
Sure.
And the businesses that he tried to start around art, like screen printing, didn't work out because he didn't have the business side of things in hand. And so my sisters grew up very, very, very poor. I mean, we were on all sorts of government assistance. If not for the fact that my mom got remarried to my stepdad, I would have experienced a lot more of that lifestyle. But my mom did get remarried to my stepdad, and we moved into a very comfortable middle-class lifestyle. So all of that to say is that I get where they're coming from, but I don't think that OP has any sort of obligation to pay for his sister's college. He figured it out. He did well, and I think his sister can do the same thing.
OP lived through that, and he came away with a never again mindset. And I think we have a lot of friends who have taken that.
Yeah.
They came from maybe a less privileged background and then said, oh, I need to work harder. They can see around them that all of these people that are well-to-do, many of them were born on third base, right? So like it's going to take more for me to get out of that situation, right? And put in the work. And that's what OP did here, right? He's put in the work, and now he's in a never again mindset. And that's why he wants to make sure he and his fiance are on solid footing, whereas his sister is, hey, save me from this.
And it's not like he's not helping his family out, right? Mm-hmm. And doing anything at all. I mean, he paid off their electric bill as an example of right. What he has helped out. So it's not like he's completely turning his back on and saying, like, I'm not going to help you at all. He's saying, I figured out how to pay for college. You can too.
That's another interesting point. I don't exactly know where he got this money, this stake NBA hit. So like I'm assuming this is some sort of like gambling winnings. So it's not like he continually has just a bunch of money laying around. He paid for his fiance with this unexpected windfall. And then his sister is like, hey, maybe the next unexpected windfall. Sure. But like that doesn't mean he has the money to pay for his sister's college, right?
Well, and just because you have one person who has a good income in tech doesn't mean that you're rolling in it and you have money coming out your ears and you can Scrooge McDuck your savings.
Sure.
Like if he's in tech, he's probably in a high cost of living area. His base expenses are probably high because he lives in, New York or San Francisco or Seattle, somewhere. And his fiance is working, but she's in school, so she's probably not making a whole lot. So he's probably doing okay for himself, but he's not in a position where he can take off that oxygen mask and strap it to somebody else and go without it.
And that's another interesting thing. This is from normie land. We're not on a FIRE subreddit. We're not on a financial independence subreddit. So we don't know if OP even has money skills other than, hey, I got a good degree and I can earn a lot of it. Obviously, like I say, if he's winning money gambling, he's probably not. It's not like he set himself up. He hasn't found that security part of finances yet. Potentially, right? We don't know much about him, but I'm just saying, like, he's not sitting on a pile of money that he's scrimped and saved necessarily.
Yeah,
right?
There is a lot of cultural nuance to this as well, because in a lot of parts of the U.S., you have this crab in a bucket mentality where one person does really well and then the entire family comes forward with their hands out and says, you need to do my nails, you need to pay for my hair, you need to pay for this and that, and you will suffocate and drown because of that. And so a lot of times you can either say, this is how much I've set aside for you, this is what I can afford, take it or leave it, or you don't help at all. Because if you don't put yourself first, you are not going to get out. So I think it was interesting that there's a comment that said, OP said he doesn't want to be an ATM. Mm-hmm. And somebody said he should say, "My finances are not your business, and I will not discuss or entertain this any longer." OP has no obligation to them. He did not sign a marriage contract with any of them or bring any of them into the world.
Yeah, that's a really good point, is that his parents made the decision to build that family. He is making this decision to build a new family, and his responsibility is to the new family he's building first, I think.
But also, there's 8 years in between OP and this sister. Mm-hmm. And so that's 8 years at least where OP's been out of their household, and that's one less mouth to feed. That's less water bill. The expenses have been going down.
Yeah.
So if anything, usually what you see is the youngest in a better spot because the oldest kids have grown up and moved away and gotten off the family payroll, and now there's more resources for less people.
Sure.
So the whole thing just points to the parents are bad at money and want to pass along their responsibilities to OP.
And another good point is, like you say, OP is 8 years older. So all of his younger siblings have gotten to see the example of the hard work that he put in, what he's gotten out of it, right? I.e., he's gotten out of poverty, and all of his siblings could follow that same model. And that's what I would expect out of this situation.
Yeah, I mean, if anything, the youngest sister should be asking him, "Hey, what'd you do here? How'd you do this?"
Right.
How can I take your lessons, avoid any mistakes that you made, and reiterate what you did and do it better, and I can learn from you, and maybe she'll even graduate college with money in her pocket. That's what I did. I had to learn all of this on my own. There wasn't the internet that you could look for and, figure out how other people did it. But I share my story on how I got out of college debt-free in hopes that somebody will find that and take those lessons and what I did and do it better and graduate with $50,000 in net worth instead of $10,000, you know?
Yeah. And our friend Carl, he tells this story a lot, is whenever he gets people to ask him for money, right, because he's fairly public about his money journey as well, that he doesn't hand people money, but he is always there to like, hey, here's how you can have money like I do, and willing to teach. And he shares his money story. And it's amazing how rarely he gets taken up on that offer.
Weird.
I think the learning lessons passively from his good work that he's done would have been a great thing for his family to do. I think all of the comments are pretty in line with us. It's interesting. Yeah. Yes. Tell them yes, family first. That's why I'm prioritizing the family. Fiance and I are building. Your fiance is your family. Remind your parents and sister of that. Not the asshole. You're building a future with her. Don't invest in your sister. Yeah. So like it's over and over in the comments. So I think everybody is in agreement here that OP is doing the right thing.
It's hard. You guys stay strong because otherwise they're not going to learn any lessons and they're just going to keep coming to you and they're going to bleach dry.
All right. Let's move on to the next story. This one comes from the Full Spelled Out subreddit. Am I the asshole? Am I the asshole for not providing any kind of extra support for my kids' other household?
Yeah. No. You heard that correctly.
It gets better. All right. I have 2 children, 11 female and 8 male, with my ex, and we share physical and legal custody of them. I pay child support because I'm a higher earner than my ex, and the child support is minimal, $150 monthly, but is supposed to help balance things between the homes. My ex is married again, and her family has grown. In the house with her are her husband, his 3 children, under 10, and their 2 shared children, under 5. My ex and her husband struggle financially and have attempted to increase child support 5 times in the last 4 years. The courts turned down their request for more child support each time, twice in front of a judge, and the other times we did not make it before a judge before it was denied. My ex was reminded that child support is meant to provide for our kids, not for her family as a whole. My ex argued that the financial burden impacts them both, but this was not deemed worthy of a child support increase. They were looking for an increase to make it $800 a month. My ex has independently asked me to give her $50 here and there or to buy stuff for the other children in her home. This happens even when our children are in my home. I always say no. I've told my ex that I'm not responsible for supporting her other children and will never provide for them financially. Recently, this became a more intense issue on their side because our daughter's birthday and her youngest stepchild's birthday are a week apart. And our daughter had a great time and got gifts at both my house and her mom's, and she had a big birthday party that I hosted. While my ex's stepchild didn't get much and had no party. They could not afford one. I had been asked twice to send some gifts for the other child. My ex also wanted the other kids invited. My daughter didn't, so they weren't invited. It pissed my ex off. But then her stepkids' lunch accounts went into the negative days after the birthdays were over, and since I topped up our kids, she wanted me to do it for her stepkids. I said no again. She called me a monster and asked how I could live with myself knowing my children's other family are struggling and are literally drowning in financial difficulty, and I could help her out, but I choose not to. Am I the asshole?
Wow. I would like to bottle the Audacity and sell it, and I would become a trillionaire. Wow. They wanted to go from $150 a month to $800 a month.
Yeah.
$800. $650 extra dollars a month.
Well, she went from a household of 2 children to a household of 7 because they Brady Bunched and created more. So,
well, exactly how many kids are in the house? Because his 3 children.
And they're 2 shared.
Oh, and then.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then
so
2.
Theoretically, his 3 children might be half-time, like their children, right?
Yeah.
But regardless,
7 kids is a lot.
7 kids is a lot of kids.
Even if they're just partially there.
Mm-hmm. It's just, the audacity is powerful. To tell your ex-husband to pay for your new husband's children is audacious, an audacious request.
And where is the husband in this? Is he not providing for his offspring?
I think it does say that OP is a high earner, and
a higher earner.
Higher earner. Oh, okay, higher earner than my ex. So not necessarily a high earner. Good call.
But I mean, it's not that much because $150.
Right. Yeah.
It's not
to get child support. Yeah, of 150 is not a lot. Yeah, that's not a lot higher. But if she marries a bum, though, then their household income might be topsy-turvy. But that's not what's important as far as what the courts care about with child support.
And I mean, it does suck, right?
It sucks, right? We don't want OP's ex to be in poverty, right?
We don't want the kids.
There's been a series of decisions that were made
to struggle.
That are resulting in this.
You explain to the kids, listen, this is our family, and here's what our family can support. Your step-siblings have other families, and they can do more. So that's why they get more, and we can't compare with them.
Well, and it also looks like maybe that there's some tension between OP's kids and the stepkids, i.e. OP's kids didn't want to even invite to the birthday party. They're having trouble integrating their household in general.
Yeah.
And maybe the ex is trying to offload some of that emotional work by, hey, if we can fix this money thing, maybe the relationship we failed to build between the children, we can help that flourish.
But I mean, it's kind of like the golden child and the scapegoat situation, where the golden child knows that they have more and they feel bad, but also they're not going to do anything to change the dynamic because they benefit from it.
Sure.
And, the stepkids are effectively the scapegoat in this situation because they're getting less.
Right.
And it's always a hard dynamic when you have that level of inequality under one roof.
Yeah.
And we have that level of inequality in America. and we can explain why does Johnny have AirPods at 9? Well, their family chooses to spend their money differently.
Right.
But it's hard when that's your step sibling under the same roof part of the time, and they have, and you are the have-not.
Yeah, it is hard, and I do not envy the ex here, right? But to call your ex-husband a monster because you've created a super toxic situation to raise all your children in, I mean, if anything, OP could come back right at the ex and call her a monster because she's putting his children in a really tenuous situation that they've got to now navigate as an 11 and 8-year-old, right?
Yeah. I mean, somebody in the comments said the next time her attempt is denied, ask the judge to sign an order stating she cannot petition the court within the next 3 years without providing proof of a significant change in your income to the Attorney General office first. She's abusing the court system, costing you money for missing work to attend these meetings, calls, court dates, and wasting everybody's time.
Yeah, that's a good point. Someone asked, is it possible to have the kids live with you? What she's doing sounds very manipulative, right? And that's kind of what I was getting at is this is a toxic environment to even allow your children to be in with her. If she's treating OP this way, I'm sure a lot of this is blowing back on the kids too, right? They're hearing this, and once again, they're 11 and 8. They're too young to be dealing with this kind of drama.
Yep.
Let's see.
It's really rough. I'm scrolling through some of these comments here, and it's a lot of people are asking, well, can't you just offer to take your kids full time and like have visits with the family? Because clearly they can't support a family of 9 on their income. And, OP is saying that based on the ages and situations that he doesn't get into, it's not feasible. They have to split custody.
Yeah.
But
well, he does say, this is a comment from OP, it's not possible for the kids to live with me full time as of now. In the future, they could decide to, but at their age and with circumstances in place, it would not win me custody in court. So it sounds like he could do that. Like he could support it personally, but the legal situation wouldn't allow for it.
yeah, and he says she would never agree to it anyway. I could support them alone, but I know that my ex would never agree to it.
Well, she wants that 150.
Well, she wants the 800.
Yeah, and she's still dreaming about that 800.
Yeah, it's rough, but desperate people do desperate things, and
yeah,
I mean, it's just not great.
Yikes.
But I applaud her for asking, right?
Yep.
If you don't ask, the answer is no.
Yep.
Right?
Yep. No, it's starting to get savage down here in the comments. Someone says the ex just needs another kid. That'll help. Do people not look at their finances before they get married, or are they Sonny and Cher and love will pay the bills? Wow. Whereas the mother of the stepkids, I wonder what she contributes to. Woo! All right, yeah. We're down. We're down in the dregs now. Yeah.
Well, overall, great situation. Or not a great situation.
Now, and we do need to take a moment, right? Children are involved here, and not only OP's kids, right, who are the victims we focused on, but these kids from in this now blended family it's a crappy situation, and I don't know. Do better, people. I don't know what else to tell you.
Do better. Yep.
Do better.
All right.
That's enough. Enough on those people.
I really want to end this episode on a good note, but like the next stories that we have,
it don't get better.
It don't get better.
It don't get better. But here we go. This one is once again from Aitah. Am I the asshole refusing to share my bonus with my fiance's family? I, 30 male, work in tech and had a fantastic year at my job. I recently received a significant year-end bonus, $50,000.
Get it, King?
There you go. I was thrilled. I've been saving for years to buy a house, and this bonus is going directly into my house fund. My fiance, 28 female, knows this and was initially very supportive.
Of course.
Then she dropped a bomb on me. She asked if I could spare $25,000 of my bonus to help her parents pay off their mortgage. Apparently, her parents have been struggling financially, and she feels it's only fair since we're going to be married and they're going to be my family too. I said no. I've worked extremely hard for this money, and while I feel for her parents, I don't think it's my responsibility to bail them out, especially when I've never even been asked directly by them. Her response? She called me selfish and accused me of not caring about her family. She then brought up how her parents have sacrificed so much for her, and it's the least I could do. She's been cold to me ever since. She also told her parents about my bonus without my permission, and now I'm getting guilt tripped by them. They haven't outright asked for money, but they've made several comments about how lucky I am to have extra cash and how some people don't get that kind of opportunity. When I mentioned that I plan to use the money to help secure our future with a house, my fiance said, "What future? You're already showing you don't care about the people who matter to me." I don't think I should have to justify how I use my bonus, but now even my own friends are split on whether I'm being responsible, reasonable, or stingy. Am I the asshole?
Not the asshole. That is so incredibly manipulative on her part.
Yeah.
If they've sacrificed so much for her, then she can help them pay their mortgage. Like, why is her family his obligation?
It's interesting. And I do wonder, he says it's a $50,000 bonus. Well, if he's paying taxes on that, that's like a $35,000 bonus.
Yeah, they evaporate so quickly.
Yeah, now they're asking for the lion's share of his bonus to help pay off their mortgage. But if they're $25,000 from paying off their mortgage, they've been paying that mortgage for a long time, and they've done it for 25 years probably. So it's, yeah.
Well,
how hard are they struggling?
I mean, I would do the Carl thing, right? I would sit down with the parents and ask them for all of their financials and see where maybe there's some issues that could be ironed out, and maybe direct more of that to the mortgage.
Yeah, I think some good financial advice would be helpful here. But once again, we're out in normie land, right? We're not in financial independence. We're not in the FIRE subreddit. So this $50,000 may be representing all of OP's money, right?
Yeah.
And my guess, it must be, because if he was sitting on a large 6-figure nest egg, right, his fiance would have probably shown her colors long before. And speaking of that, can we talk about, like, he may have dodged a bullet here?
Oh, yeah. No, I mean, $50,000 is a small price to pay for figuring out, your future partner's true self.
Right. And that she's not interested in building something together, right? She's looking outward. It's one thing if they were middle-aged, right? They had got their financial house in order, and okay, cool, let's look back and help the people who got us here. But whenever they're just starting out and they have not bought their own house yet, right? And this could be their key to the quote unquote American dream, or at least starting it. I mean, you've got to look at where your situation is, where you are in the arc of your life.
OP's fiance wants to have him light himself on fire to keep her family warm.
Yeah.
And that doesn't end well for the fuel.
No.
It's just, when the fiance said, "What future? You're already showing me you don't care about the people who matter to me." It's giving very strong vibes that I had in my last relationship. Oof. Where he was very concerned that I wouldn't be able to take care of him with his chronic condition in the future. Mm-hmm. And I was like, "Excuse you, I'm sick right now, and you're not taking care of me right now."
Yeah.
Like, maybe this is a sign that you and I are not meant to be. Right.
Yeah. Once again, sounds like you got a peek into your future for a fairly low cost of a rough flu.
Yeah. Yep. Dipped out, and now I'm doing so much better with you.
Oh. Thanks, babe.
Yeah, and I think there's also cultural expectations here too, where there's a lot of cultures like Indian cultures and some Asian cultures that say we will sacrifice everything to get you into a great spot, and then you are expected to pay us
Sure.
back with care and support in our later years.
Right. Yeah, I don't get any vibes that this is a cultural issue. I think this feels American to me. This feels pretty standard that, hey, let me get the money from this guy and give it to my parents. And one thing I wanted to point out too is whenever she says, you're already showing you don't care about the people who matter to me. Like, does OP not matter to her? Right?
Right? Yeah. This feels like she's pushing to see how far her meal ticket really goes.
Right.
And I think she overplayed her hand.
Yeah.
Big time.
Yeah. And top comments are, if they sacrifice so much for her, she should help them pay their mortgage. I would think long and hard about continuing with this one. This is going to be your life. She's happy volunteering your money, and then she's childish when you tell her no, not the asshole.
Yeah. Pretty sure this is going to be the rest of your life. You being expected to pay for her and her family. If you want that, go for it. Also, prenup.
Oof. Yeah. Once again, I don't get the vibes that this is a guy who has a nest egg, because once again, she would have been feasting on that already, I think.
Yeah, true, but still, I mean, she's got a good job.
Yeah. It's going to be, I don't know that you can get a prenup that says, we start with nothing, but everything we earn, I want to keep because I'm going to earn most of it.
I mean, you can make a prenup say whatever you want, whether or not it's legally enforceable.
Yeah, whether
in court.
or not a judge will actually enforce it is another whole other question.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can't make a fair and equitable prenup that says that, I guess. That I would want to enter a relationship with, right? I think prenups are important, and when they are done for the interest of everyone involved. But if it's, hey, I don't trust you, so I'm going to write this punitive prenup for you to sign, that I think maybe you should just reconsider that relationship instead.
Yeah, just save yourself the $4,000
Sure.
from a lawyer and just break up.
I mean, Godspeed, OP. I hope everything works out for you.
Good luck to OP, and good luck to everybody else out there maintaining your boundaries and trying to figure out the delicate balance of family and money and relationships. It's not easy sometimes.
Yeah. Whenever you're trying to make a financial decision or trying to decide whether you should make a financial demand, maybe think about, do you have the audacity that is being expressed in these stories? If so, maybe give it a beat. Take a beat and reconsider your demands, and do not engage. Do not be that person who is posted on the internet under the title "The Lion, the Witch, and the Audacity of this Bitch." All right. Thanks all. Thanks for listening. We'll see you again in a couple of weeks.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you for listening to the Fire Takes podcast. Wanted to remind you that this is an entertainment podcast. Glenn and I, not financial planners, just opinionated. There are many ways to reach us if you just go to firetakespod.com, including email, Instagram, Reddit, YouTube. You can hear more from Gwen at firymillennials.com. Thanks for joining us. Bye.